Okay, well, thank you, and I'm glad that some people applauded, because I was afraid at the beginning that there was so much anger at fast food restaurants that I might get in trouble.
Not you.
So in order to explain how we do what we do, let me just give a little bit of background about the company so people who are not familiar with it know what Chipotle Mexican Grill is. Chipotle is a chain of restaurants, fast food restaurants. There's 1,300 of them in the United States, Canada, UK, and France. And there's a new Chipotle restaurant somewhere every 48 hours. So this is a very fast growing company. And I will make one disclaimer, since it's a very popular misconception that Chipotle is owned by McDonald's or started by McDonald's. It's not. So I'll clear that up right away, since we know that there's some bad things going on that McDonald's has something to do with. So let me tell you a little bit about how we got where we are with Chipotle. And I think what's fascinating about Chipotle is that it was essentially started by accident. The guy that started this is my very good friend from high school, Steve Ells. And 19 years ago, he was a chef at a fancy restaurant in San Francisco, and he decided to move to Denver and open a burrito restaurant so he could fund one of his own fancy restaurants, because he didn't have enough money to open the real one. So he opened this little burrito restaurant, and he decided to create fast food, but do it the way a chef would do it, with these beautiful ingredients and prepared by hand and taking time to create everything. He didn't know anything about the rules of fast food. The way you open a fast food chain is you make things really, really cheap, and you dumb down the process of preparing them so that you can pay people the very most minimum wage, and people can do it with no training. And that's how you do fast foods. Well, he didn't know this, so he created this beautiful little restaurant, and it was so popular that he decided to open a second one, and then a third, and then a fourth, and he never got around to opening his fancy restaurant. Instead, he created this chain of restaurants called Chipotle. And along the way, Steve was experimenting with one of his dishes, which is a carnitas recipe, which is pork that's braised and shredded for one of the burritos. And he didn't like the taste. So he explored what was going on, and he found out through that process that most of the animals in this country are raised in this system of exploitation, this horrible confinement system that really subjects the animals to cruel conditions. And Steve decided at that moment that he didn't want his success or the success of Chipotle to be based on that kind of exploitation. And that born this idea called food with integrity, which is essentially our quest to find ingredients that are raised with respect for the animals, the environment, and the farmers. And it started with pork, and then it went to steak and chicken, and then it went to all of the other ingredients. And what's happened as a result of that is that Chipotle now serves more naturally raised meats. Those are meats raised without antibiotics or hormones than any other restaurant company in the world. We serve more local produce than any other restaurant company in the world. We don't have processed ingredients in our food. The food is prepped and prepared in the restaurants. Actually, people have knives and cutting boards, and occasionally they actually screw it up, which is, part of, I think, owning and running a restaurant. It's really phenomenal. And what's interesting about this is that as a result of all of this focus on our ingredients, Chipotle spends 33% of our income on our ingredients, which is much, much more than the average fast food restaurant, which they spend about 25, 26, maybe 27%. And so that difference in cost that we spend on our ingredients allows us to buy these better ingredients. But what's really brilliant about this is that Chipotle is actually also the most profitable restaurant company in the country. So our restaurant level margins are among the highest. So I think what this goes to show is that, I think sometimes the most brilliant ideas come from somebody that have no idea what they're doing. I mean, Steve had no idea how to start a fast food restaurant, and because of that, actually something brilliant came out of it. So for those of you in the audience who are looking at trying to solve these problems, you probably have a terrific solution in your head. Just don't think about it in the same way that everybody else does it, because you're going to get the same result if you think about it the same way other people do. That's all I got.